and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll move on to awards and recognitions, and I'll turn it over to Dr. Joseph to recognize our new principal and central office appointments.
Well, good evening, board members.
I'm sorry. Hey, look at here. Y'all know I'm on automatic when I sit here. Got to get the business taken care of. But look who made it to the big kids table. I chased Chris all over the room. I was sitting next to him over there, then I went and sat down. I'm just used to sitting next to Chris, but yeah, okay. Well, thank you, Maritza. Okay. All right, just want you to know you're in my seat. But welcome. We have waited a long time for this, and I know this is not your first day, but you're on day 6.
Day 6.
Day 6. This is officially day 6. But definitely welcome. We're still excited. So far you haven't done anything wrong.
Right. Yes, day 6.
Day 6. Trust me, we're all counting.
Yes.
We're all counting. So officially welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for partnering with us and trusting us to be a partner with you in the great things that you're looking to do here in Nashville. So now we'll move on to item number 2, awards and recognitions.
Well, thank you, Madam President. Well, tonight we have the honor of introducing the newest additions to our leadership team within our district. As you know, we've changed the way we hire principals so that parents and staff can have more direct input. And the principals that we chose all exemplify the qualities that parents and staff prioritized in their meetings. And some of those examples and qualities included being accessible, being able to make changes based upon student needs, communicating well, and valuing positive culture and climate. Now, every candidate that we hired had directly answered each of the top qualities that were named by the school community, and that's important. So we really did our best to look for that match. In fact, there were, in some cases, when we interviewed and people came to us, I didn't feel that we got it right. And so we will also be appointing some acting principals, because we made a commitment to the community that if we did not find the right person, we're not just going to hire. We'll just go back to the drawing board. So we do have some acting principals that we're going to be appointing here. And in the acting process, what we'll do is we'll continue looking for extraordinary candidates based upon the criteria that was set. And when we find them, we will appoint in the acting, and the acting person also can have the opportunity to apply for the job as well. But we'll have a process as we go into the fall to talk with the community about how we'd like to proceed. But we have just one more principal to announce, and we'll do that soon, and that's going to be at Goodlettsville Middle. Otherwise, we're fully staffed, and that's a huge accomplishment. And I want to thank the Human Resources team and the executive lead principals, Dr. Narcisse, Dr. Felder, and Mr. Henson, for all of their efforts over the course of these past few weeks, as we have really prioritized getting these 18 principal vacancies filled, along with a number of other central office positions that we'll announce. But we'll go ahead and announce our principals one by one. So we have a new process here. We want to make sure that the board and community see who it is we are appointing, and give you some public background. And the candidates have come with their families as well, because we think that it is a huge it's a huge responsibility. It's a huge, exciting opportunity for our community, and it's an opportunity that the full family should be acknowledged and thanked for. So we did that at the beginning. So to start, we have appointed Mrs. Robin Masters as the principal of Bellshire Elementary. Robin, please stand. When I call your name, please stand. Yes. All right, we can give Robin a clap. Robin is joining us from Overton High School, where she was an IT Academy principal, leading both English and English language learning programs. She also has experience as a classroom teacher with leading successful interventions for struggling readers. Masters looks forward to working with the Bellshire community to ensure that all students meet high expectations in a nurturing environment that prepares them to excel in a global society. So thank you, Robin. Next, we have Nate Miley, the principal of Creve Hall Elementary School. Nate comes to Metro from Indiana, where he served as an assistant principal. Nate's main goal this year is to fully understand Creve Hall's current student achievement, partner with the community and engage and create an engagement strategy to take it from a good school to a great school. So thank you for coming to us from Indiana. I thought I came from a long way. Next, we have Ms. Carolyn Cobbs, the principal of Cumberland Elementary School. Now, Carolyn has served as an elementary and middle school principal, moving performance scores at each of her 3 schools from basic to proficient during her 14-year tenure as a leader in both Maryland and D.C. She comes to Metro Nashville Public Schools from Denver, where she served as an instructional superintendent and a director of elementary language and literacy. Thank you, Ms. Cobbs. Next, we have Gina Collins. She's the principal of Glendale Spanish Immersion Elementary School. And Ms. Collins has served 24 years in education as a teacher, assistant principal, executive principal, and as a lead principal in the Metro schools. She started the Cambridge program at Oliver Middle Prep that helps more than 275 students through an academic and accelerated program each year. Ms. Collins is excited to help children acquire foreign language skills through authentic activities in Spanish where they can learn core subjects. Thank you. Next, we have Ms. LaToya Cobbs, the principal of Kirkpatrick Elementary School. Ms. Cobbs is in her 8th year in education with 4 years as a classroom teacher, 9 years as an elementary school counselor, and 4 years as an assistant principal at Paragon Mills Elementary School. She holds multiple educational degrees and is a 2010 graduate of the Principal Leadership Academy here in Nashville. So welcome and thank you. Next, we have Wachia Lawless, who's the principal of Napier Elementary School. Ms. Lawless has spent the past 23 years working to improve the quality of public education, higher education, and small business. This is Ms. Lawless's 13th year as a public education educator, with 8 of those spent at Napier. She plans to provide consistency. You get the point, right? Instructional leadership and professional skills set to allow her to lead and support the school and regain its prominence in the area. So we look forward to helping you do that. Thank you once again. Next, Derek Slater will be the principal of Neely's Bend Elementary School. Dr. Slater has taught at the elementary and middle school in Metro in Huntsville, Alabama. During his tenure as a public educator, he served as an ambassador for Nashville's Teaching Fellows and as an educational consultant for the Council for Accreditation of Educator Preparation and Pearson Evaluation Systems, where he's revised test frameworks for teacher licensure. Mr. Salter's goal this year is to meet students where they are and to push them forward to establish a positive culture. Thank you. Next, we have Dr. Joy Austria, principal of Paragon Mills Elementary School. Dr. Austria has worked as a classroom teacher, elementary and middle school instructional coach, an acting assistant principal, a researcher, a university professor, and has taught and high school instructional specialist, all in Maryland. She has her PhD in curriculum and instruction and a master's in guidance and counseling and special education. This year she hopes to focus on instruction, student engagement, and achievement to provide academic interventions according to students' specific needs, as well as to provide effective professional development for teachers. Dr. Austria, thank you. Next, we have Elena Wilson as the principal of Shane Elementary School. Ms. Wilson has 23 years of experience as an educator, an instructional services coordinator, an assistant principal, and a student support specialist. As a student support specialist, she led the school personnel to identify the root cause of students' areas of lagging performance and prescribed tailored interventions. Ms. Wilson believes that all students should be afforded the opportunity to attend a school where all stakeholders are connected and work in tandem to support student achievement. So thank you. Next, we have Ms. Robin Elder as the principal of Sylvan Park Elementary School. She's not here, but we'll tell you a little bit about her anyway. All right, Ms. Elder has more than 14 years of educational experience that includes time in the classroom as a teacher and elementary school guidance counselor, and most recently, she was the assistant principal at an elementary school in College Park, Georgia. As an assistant principal, she served over 1,100 students and maintained the status of the highest performing school in South Fulton County, earning accolades that include being a Distinguished Title I School Award. So we thank you for Ms. Elder. Next, we have Dr. Allison Johnson, the principal of Tulip Grove Elementary School. And Dr. Johnson has experience as an assistant principal and a counselor with the Metro Schools, as well as serving as a case manager in the Department of Children's Services. Dr. Johnson believes that a positive school climate is necessary for a successful school. Her background in counseling helps her excel in creating supportive structures for teachers and students. Thank you. Next, we have Denise Giacono as the principal of Warner Elementary School. Giacono. And Ms. Giacono has been in education for 29 years. Prior to entering education, she had a career as in social services, and she was an AmeriCorps volunteer. And her counseling experience has served her well as an educator when dealing with students, families, and staff, especially those in crisis. Her motto is, "You can't live a positive life with a negative mind." And she looks forward to bringing that positivity to Warner Elementary School. We thank you. Next, we have Ms. Susan Blankenship as the principal of Waverly Belmont Elementary School. Ms. Blankenship has worked for Metro Schools for 16 years. She served as the principal of Sylvan Park Elementary School and has experience as a classroom teacher, a dean of instruction, and Padilla instruction coach. She's a graduate of the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, where she earned both a bachelor's and master's degree. And she also has a education specialist credential from MTSU. So we thank you. Next, we have Dr. Jeremy Lewis, and he's going to serve as the acting principal of Crofton Middle Design Prep. Dr. Lewis has been a classroom teacher, a dean of instruction, and has worked in 2 administrative positions in the Metro Schools. In 2013, he completed an educational doctorate in educational leadership and professional practice. This year, he hopes to collaborate authentically with the faculty, staff, parents, and students in community, as well as embrace higher education partnerships to focus on providing social and emotional supports to our students. So we welcome you. Next, we have Dr. Bianca Jefferson as the acting principal at DuPont Tyler Middle Prep. And Dr. Jefferson was an assistant principal at J.E. Moss Elementary School for the past 3 years, and before becoming an administrator, she taught as an exceptional education teacher and served as an adjunct professor with Cumberland University. She earned her Bachelor's of Science in Psychology and a Master's in Special Education from Tennessee State and her doctorate from Lipscomb University. So thank you. All right. We have Todd Irving. He's the principal of Jolton Middle Prep. I like that pink tie too, bro. You know, real men wear pink. We're not afraid. So Mr. Irving has worked as an urban educator for the past 20 years in communities of cultural, racial, and linguistic diversity across California. His experiences are combined with his experience working in schools with a varying record of achievement, has shaped his desire for every child to have access to post-secondary educational and vocational opportunities. His work in promoting academic achievement for all schools has earned him a reputation as a turnaround principal, so we welcome you to Nashville. Okay, we have Mr. Jackie Freeman as the principal of Madison Middle Prep. Mr. Freeman has been an educator here in the Metro Schools for 21 years with 10 years of classroom experience and 11 years as an administrator. This year, Freeman's goal is to meet with each teacher, parent, and students to actively listen and have constructive conversations to build positive relationships. So we thank you. And our last principal selection this year was Dr. Kiva Wiley as the principal of Antioch High School. I don't believe Dr. Wiley is here, but let's tell you a little bit about her. She'll be here on Monday. Yes. Yes, she's moving. Thank you. Thank you. So Dr. Wiley comes to Metro from, well, she lives in Baltimore, but she currently works in Prince George's County, where she was employed by the Fund for Educational Excellence and Achievement First. She's worked for years in public schools as a site supervisor, assistant principal, and adjunct professor, while consulting with school systems on best literacy practices and professional development. So those are our elementary, middle, and high school principal appointments. Can we give everybody a round of applause once again? So, as you can see, we have pulled a multitude of people from across the country, and we feel very strong about our principal hires. But beyond principals, we've been busy with some of our central office leaders, and we'd like to introduce you to some of those as well. We have Nick Frank, who's the school director of Lead Academy High School. Another high school, I'm sorry. Nick, are you here? All right, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Nick. Nick Frank joins the Lead Public Schools in 2008 as a middle school math teacher, and he's taught math and special education at Lead Academy High School. Then he served as the role of Director of Special Education for the Lead Network before becoming a Lead Academy Middle School Director in 2014. During his tenure as school director, Lead Academy Middle School was named a reward school and achieved excelling status in the MNPS Academic Performance Framework. He'll assume the role as Lead Academy High School Director this current year. Oh, I'm sorry. And then we also have Dr. Keely Jones Madison as the acting principal of Maplewood High School. Dr. Jones Mason has more than 17 years of experience in the field of education, and she served as a special education teacher, a special education coach, a compliance facilitator, and assistant principal, all in the Metro Schools. She served as an assistant principal at Maplewood High School Academy of Entrepreneurship and Innovation since 2012. She received the Academy Assistant Principal of the Year Award and led the Academy to receiving Academy of the Year in 2016, and she holds degrees in guidance and special education. We also have Michael Bartha as the principal of Intrepid College Prep. Okay, and they didn't give me any notes. So we'll just welcome him and keep on moving. Please forgive me. This is what happens when you run around and you don't practice, you look at your notes in advance. Moving on to our executive lead principals. We did have an opportunity to hire a number of extraordinary people with principal experience for these crucial positions. Remember, these are the positions that directly supervise our principals. So we have Dr. Damon Cathy. Welcome. Dr. Cathy began his teaching career as a math and science teacher at Buena Vista Jones Padilla Magnet School and has served as a teacher and a principal at all 3 tiers. He's also served as an assistant superintendent for curriculum and instruction, where he's led district improvements, moving toward non-negotiable goals of student academic achievement and classroom instruction. This year, Dr. Cathy looks forward to working with the principal learning community to evaluate practices and support, ensuring that they're aligned with the vision and mission of our school district. So thank you, Dr. Cathy. We also have joining us from Boston, Dr. Kathleen Dawson. And Dr. Dawson has 20 years of experience in education as a classroom teacher of various topics and as a high school administrator. Dr. Dawson has been deliberate in working in a diverse set of school settings to better prepare herself for a leadership role, such as the executive lead principal. Her goal is to listen to school communities and learn the needs of communities and their expectations to better support MNPS principals and teachers. Dr. Dawson aims to support principals in providing quality education and equitable access to opportunities for all students. Thank you, Dr. Dawson. We also have joining us from the state of Maryland, Ms. Karen DeSosa-Gallman. And Ms. Gallman comes to us from Bowie, Maryland, where she served as a principal and assistant principal. As a principal, Ms. Gallman launched one of the first Spanish immersion programs in Prince George's County and was instrumental in laying a foundation for the program's success. As an executive lead principal, her goal is to provide high-quality support to principals to help them improve and refine their skills as instructional leaders. She also wants to collaboratively work with principals and model principal self-awareness, reflective practices, transparency, efficacy, and ethical behavior. I like that. That's all right. We can give her a round of applause for that, right? Hey, we have with us Dr. Linda Iverson.
She's on the way.
She's on her way?
Nashville right now.
Okay, okay. But Dr. Iverson is coming to us from Baltimore City. She has experience as an educator, 30 years to be exact. She served as a teacher, assistant principal, a principal, and a director of school performance. Her most recent assignment was in Baltimore City, where 3 of the schools under her leadership were recognized for their turnaround performance. Dr. Iverson is extremely excited to be joining Metro Nashville's team to deliver excellence by design for every student, every day. Round of applause for Dr. Iverson. We also have Dr. Lily Leffler. Thank you. Dr. Leffler. Dr. Leffler is going into her 21st year as an educator, over which she has led a diverse middle school and high school experience, both as a teacher and an administrator. Dr. Leffler's goal as an executive lead principal is to share her experience and knowledge to assist principals in reaching the success that all school stakeholders expect and deserves. She also plans to drive home the one team, one goal mentality in pursuit of excellence relentlessly from day to day. And we also have Dr. Michelle Springer. Okay, it's not here, but a little about Dr. Springer. Dr. Springer has 16 years in the education system, including teaching students with and without disabilities, serving as a compliance and instructional facilitator for exceptional education, and serving as an assistant and executive principal. Dr. Springer led a school from a level 1 in academic growth to a level 5 in 1 year and has been named Teacher of the Year and Principal of the Year. Her mission is to speak the word of encouragement and empowerment to teachers and students to be lifelong learners and productive citizens. And now, in terms of our executive team, we have 4 candidates that I'd like to, or 4 new members of the team.
Candidates, y'all are still applying.
Look,
Freudian, go ahead.
so look, we work every day. We have Mr. Mo Carrasco as our executive officer for priority schools. Mo will lead the district's efforts to improve the turnaround our lowest performing schools. So he comes to us from Montgomery County Public Schools in Maryland, where he worked in the Office of School Support and Improvement as the head of leadership development in both schools and central office. Prior to working in district administration, Mr. Carrasco worked as a principal, where he led successful turnarounds and raised student achievement, particularly among African American and Latino students. In 2007, he won the MetLife High School Principal of the Year Award for the state of Maryland, given by the National Association of Secondary School Principals. Welcome, Mr. Carrasco. We also have Dr. Maritza Gonzalez. Dr. Gonzalez, and she's going to be our executive officer for diversity and equity. And In this newly created position, the Executive Officer for Diversity and Equity, Dr. Gonzalez, will work with every department in the Metro Nashville Public Schools with a focus on creating greater equity and access for academic programs and services. She will serve as a guiding force for decisions across the district, ensuring that they're made with all students in mind. Dr. Gonzalez is an expert in family and community partnership and has experience in curriculum design for diverse learners. In 2010, she was appointed by the Governor of Maryland for his task force on universal design for learning. Thank you, Dr. Gonzalez. We have Mr. Dennis Queen, who's our new Executive Officer for Charter Schools. Mr. Queen's an experienced educational leader whose career has taken him from a police officer to a teacher to an executive consultant to lead district leaders. Most recently, he worked as a community superintendent, and prior to that, as a regional superintendent. In both jobs, he supported school improvement efforts in 65 schools with success in raising student achievement and lowering discipline incidents. In that work, Mr. Queen gained experience working alongside area charter schools. He's also spent 11 years as a principal, and he's made significant academic gains at each school he has led. Thank you, Mr. Queen. We also have Tony Russell, who's an executive director of IT. Ms. Russell came to Metro Public Schools with a background in IT leadership before joining Metro. She was the IT director and chief information officer for United Space Alliance in Texas, where she provided the vision for the development and implementation of IT initiatives. While with the United Space Alliance, she earned the NASA Silver Snoopy Award. The astronaut, that's an interesting award. Right. She has earned the astronaut's own award for outstanding performance, contributing to flight safety and mission success, an award less than 1% of the aerospace workforce receives. This year, Ms. Russell hopes to successfully implement the new student information system, Infinite Campus, make technology more accessible to students, and to develop TIS organizations as a whole. We thank you. Okay. And in previous comments, I'd like to reintroduce you all and welcome Dr. Cito Narcisse, who's our Chief of Schools. And also Dr. Monique Felder, who's our Chief Academic Officer. So now, we've been working hard for 6 days, I'm trying to tell you. But we thank you all for your contributions, and we're going to do great things for years to come. So thank you all. Thank you. And that concludes. Okay.
Do you have notes on that?
Oh, yes. In addition, we wanted to acknowledge Ole Cockrell's 1,000th graduate. So graduation season is officially over, but we have a great reason to celebrate tonight. When the Academy at Ole Cockrell opened, it brought a new concept to Metro schools. So students who had dropped out or were in danger of dropping out could complete their last few credits to earn a high school diploma. This is not a GED, but an actual high school diploma. After Ole Cockrell, 2 more academies schools opened at Opry Mill Mall and Hickory Hollow Mall. And thanks to the great support of the Simon Youth Foundation, which helps underwrite the Academy's programs and gives scholarships to many of its graduates, all 3 schools have been widely successful. A few weeks ago, Tavares Smith Johnson completed his final courses and graduated from the Academy at Ole Cockrell. He is So Tavares is officially the 1,000th graduate from the school. And think about that for a moment. Those are 1,000 students who may not have earned their diplomas, but now are on track for a better and more successful life thanks to the teachers at the Academy. I think it's worth another round of applause. And the other two Academy schools have graduated another 1,400 students for a total of 2,400 lives that are changed by these three schools. So Tavares is here tonight with his mom, his principal, and the president and CEO of the Simon Youth Foundation. Let's welcome Mr. Carl Carter, principal of Oral Conquerum, to the podium, which you have. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
This milestone highlights the work at the Academy at Old Cockrell, Hickory Hollow, as well as Opry Mills. We're proud of the work of all of our non-traditional high schools here in Metro Nashville Public Schools, particularly also not just the academies, but Cone Learning Center as well. Tavares was a student there. And we're proud of the work of what we're doing, but not only that, we're most proud of the work of Tavares Smith Johnson. He was awarded a certificate for being our 1,000th graduate, so congratulations, Tavares, for your hard work. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Durham.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Carter. Good evening. My name is Michael Durnall. I'm the president and CEO of the Simon Youth Foundation. Thrilled to be here on this occasion to celebrate Tavares' 1,000th achievement. But it's the second time recently we've been able to do that here. As you heard earlier, we've reached 1,000 graduates at Hickory Hollow, and we're quickly on our way there at our school at Opry Mills, and we're very proud of that. We're proud of our association with our 28 schools nationally, but Nashville has always held a special place in our heart because this is one of the places where we were able to put 3 schools first. And those 2,400 graduates for us represent almost $1 million economic impact in your community because this school district has invested so heavily in helping kids who needed a different path to graduation. And we are thrilled for that. We've supported almost 35 students in post-secondary scholarships to the tune of about $700,000 over the years, just since 2009. Dr. Brannon, Anna Shepard have all been wonderful advocates for us in that work. Thank you very much. And I guess I should really kind of update that scholarship number. So in celebration of you being the 1,000th graduate, we're adding $1,000 to your scholarship. Annually, too, we also provide enhancement grants to all of our partner schools. And so in recognition of the fine work of the Academy will also be receiving additional enhancement money from the Simon Youth Foundation in the next calendar year. So congratulations. Thanks for all being here.
Want to take a picture?
No.
Dr. Brandon?
Can we get Tavares' mom?
All right. So I'm sure several of you have seen this already, but I'm going to go ahead and read this before we get started. So the Relentless Entertainment Group and Pearl Cone entertainment magnet high school created a very special welcome for our new director of schools, Dr. Sean Joseph. The Relentless Entertainment Group, REG, is the only student-run record label in the nation. It is the official record label of Metro Nashville Public Schools. The 2016 president of REG, Senior Bramante Carpenter, was inspired to write this song in honor of Dr. Joseph's first official day of work, and Senior Shandia Pride provides the vocals. So hopefully, when we do our Listen and Learn at Procon, we'll get to meet Briante and Shandia, and also Mr. Cedric Caldwell, who actually heads up that program at Procon. So right now, if you will turn your attention to the monitors, we'd like to share with you Dr. Joseph's R&B hit.
Nashville's been waiting a long time for somebody to lead us like you do. We were thinking that we'd always be searching, but God came up with someone like you. Just
Sorry.
to think we had made up our mind, it was over. Somebody brought me the news that somebody was you. Looking for someone new. They kept them waiting in line, 'cause nobody's heart was true. I wasn't sure if we could end up, and schools just stayed the same. I didn't know what God had in store.
Has chosen its first African American as director following a nationwide search.
Called to let you know that not only has this board unanimously selected you as our next director of schools, but we have unanimously agreed to the terms within the contract, and all I need to hear from you is... I accept. All right.
The words this board wanted to hear brought tears of joy. After a long, exhaustive search, Metro Schools named their next director, Dr. Sean Joseph.
That somebody was you.
Pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. Lots of talent. Just lots of talent here. So now we're gonna, I'm just so glad I didn't wear that same blouse today. I came really close to put that shirt on. That would have been an awkward moment.
I just got to say that the song was awesome, but watching those pictures of the search, I did get a little PTSD.
Yeah, I saw you fanning over there.
We're glad you're here.
We're not doing this again. So we're going to move into public participation. So this is a time where the board hears from those who've signed up to speak. You have 3 minutes. At the end of the 3 minutes, you will hear. Oh, we got a new sound. Right now, we mean business today. When you hear that sound, we ask that you please respectfully relinquish the microphone and let the next presenter come up. We actually have 5. I apologize for the omission on the agendas. I'm going to call all 5 of you. Please come to the podium, and whoever gets there first. Joseph Gianni, T.C. Weber, Mary Holden, Amanda Kao, and Theo Wellington. You're first. Let's go.
All right.
And the clock is working.
Oh, I didn't know it started all right.
No,
Well,
she
my
got
name
out.
is T.C. Weber. T.C. Weber, and a parent of students at Tusculum Elementary School. Dr. Joseph, please let me add my voice to the one welcome you here to MNPS. We are very excited to have you. You'll find that periodically I like to come before the board and share some of my views every once in a while. I wasn't really planning to do this for a couple of months because things have been going really well. There's an excitement in the air. Tusculum Elementary School is getting built at a rapid pace. And the communication department has actually started tweeting out and Facebooking those positive stories that they've been so loath to tell in the past because they were focused on low test scores. So, to be honest, the electricity that you put in the air, I felt no need to come here and talk. Unfortunately, last week I saw that the transition team had been released. And once again, as often has been the case in the past, South Nashville and our English language learners were being underrepresented. And I felt the need that I had to speak up, and please allow me that opportunity. The only 2 reps from the populations were Valor's Todd Dixon and Connexion's Renee Soto, both very worthy representatives, but only capable of giving half the narrative. Now, it's very true, and I'm not taking anything away from Valor and the wonderful work they've done, but it's come at a cost. And it's important that we know that cost if we're going to celebrate those successes. And people like former Overton principal and now Hillsborough principal Schuler Pellman, Overton AP Doug Trotter, Croft principal, Dr. Barbara Springer, Gary Hughes from J.T. Moore are all very capable of both addressing the needs of our English learners and telling the other side and the effects of choice. Because if we're going to talk about choice, we have to have an honest conversation. Renee Soto has been recognized nationally for her work, very worthy work, but it deals primarily with Spanish speakers. And our immigrant and refugee population is so much deeper than that. And I'm always concerned that they're going to get left out of the conversation and that their stories are not going to be told. It took me 2 years of my wife working in a high EL school before I started to realize that it was more than just Spanish. Cross Point Church has been in those apartment complexes every day this summer, 5 days a week. It's absolutely amazing. I can't tell what time that is. Kevin Stacy, the head of the EL program, has made dramatic gains. We're busting through all of our state mandates and more. Their voices need to be on this. You know, up north in some of the counties where I've noticed a few of you are moving from, you've experimented with exclusionary schools where there's a high school inside a high school where newcomers go. That scares me. I've spoken before and said that my son's best friend is a Burmese refugee, and I cannot tell you how it has impacted both of their lives being able to interact together, even though at the beginning of the year they didn't speak the same language. You know, it's important in our schools that we develop an area where kids can learn to deal with each other in a safe environment before they get out in the real world and it becomes very real. You know, we see countrymen killing countrymen right now because they can't understand each other. I can't think of a single mission that's more important than that for our schools right now. I also think the word of Jared Amato. Jared Amato is a role model like we need more of. But I think Jared will tell you that what he's doing is not any different than what hundreds of other teachers in Metro are doing. We needed more teachers' voices on that transition. Think of the message that we have the opportunity to send about the new narrative and what's going on with our schools if there would have been more teachers' voices. It scares me that some of those voices that are so important to our community, their stories may not get told, and instead we'll see those old stories, the stories that we've told before, and then stories that are received from the outside. In reading your works and reading the books you recommend, I think the power of narrative is important to you. Thanks. I had no idea where I was.
Could you hold for 1 second, Ms. Holt? Do you need to do something? It says 361. We skip everybody. Whoever gets to the podium first speaks.
Okay. Good evening, members of the school board and Dr. Joseph. My name is Mary Holden, and I am an MNPS parent and former teacher. Dr. Joseph, I want to welcome you to MNPS. I'm glad you're here and happy to see the direction you're taking so far, which seems to be that of someone who listens and learns from those around you. Recently, I spoke to the school board about what I would like to see in a new director of schools, and one thing I mentioned is that we need a champion for our schools. Many great things are happening here. However, the inequity that exists in our neediest schools is unacceptable. They need extra resources, funding, and support in order to make them equitable. I support the community schools model. What we don't need is more charter schools. I have heard you talk about equity, and I am pleased to hear that this seems to be a priority. Another thing I mentioned was the need to truly listen and respect the teachers in this district. When I worked here for a year, I noticed the culture of fear right away. It's a real thing. Teachers feel intimidated to speak up for fear of retaliation. I hope you are able to dismantle that culture of fear quickly, and I believe your approach so far has been effective. There is an important issue I want to speak about. Over the last year, the Human Resources Department apparently enacted a policy wherein any teacher who is going to be non-renewed will also automatically be made ineligible for rehire. This means if a principal feels a teacher is not a good fit, instead of simply non-renewing that teacher and letting them go back into the pool of eligible teachers, that teacher is basically fired and not allowed to apply ever again in this district. I know of an experienced kindergarten EL teacher fired under this policy for low test scores in kindergarten. Never mind that she had 35 students cycle through her classroom in 1 year. A first-year middle school English teacher told to teach math instead and then fired under this policy for low test scores. His career effectively ruined. Teachers who speak out and ask questions and suddenly that principal doesn't like them, so now they're fired under this policy. The careers of these dedicated teachers are now over and done with in this district. This policy is harmful to teachers and students. I have 3 requests. 1, please get rid of this policy. 2, consider a new written policy where more than one person would need to sign off for someone who is deemed ineligible for rehire. And 3, please consider reviewing the files of teachers who were affected by this year. There are many of them who are literally ruined, and they are frustrated about it. I'm not one of them. I'm speaking for them. It's not right. We can make it better. Lastly, I have a concern like TC does about your transition team. I understand the need for one. 47 is a high number, especially when I don't see teachers and parents well represented. There's a lot of charter folks, TFA, business people, and complete outsiders, but I feel not a lot of actual MNPS stakeholders. I must say that's a little disappointing, but overall, I'm really glad you're here. And you'll be hearing from me again, I'm sure. But I wish you the best. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Amanda Kale, and I'm an EL teacher at Margaret Allen Middle School. First, let me say how grateful I am for Dr. Joseph and the board's recent Listen and Learn sessions. So often people think they can improve public education with statistics and soundbite answers, but it takes truly wise leadership to realize that we also need qualitative data, stories, to really understand what is going on. The issue I want to address tonight, like my friend before me, is the practice of marking teachers ineligible for rehire. This status completely disbars teachers from their profession, and currently there is no written policy that states how or why this can happen. A single administrator can end a teacher's career for any reason, including no reason. Imagine for just a moment that your boss can not only fire you, but stop you from ever working in your field again for any reason they choose. This is a situation for a group of teachers I met this summer whose stories I want to share. I have combined or omitted some details in order to protect their identity. Teacher A was a first-year teacher working in a priority school, a tough job to be sure. The administration offices at his school were a revolving door of firings and resignations. He tried but failed to attend a single professional development because his school was unable to secure substitutes. However, his conversations with administrators were always positive and his evaluations were solid. So when he found out he was ineligible for rehire, he was shocked. He was never given a reason why. In fact, the administrator who made that decision left before he could ask. A's career is finished, just as he started paying his student loans for his education degree. Teacher B was another first-year teacher. Partway through the year, B was assigned to teach a class for which subject he had no qualifications. He was never given any coaching or materials for this class. All of his evaluations for the remainder of the year took place in this class, and his scores doomed him. I can only hope that Teacher B, who was an honors student in college, will find another career that values him a little bit more. I've heard so many stories like this, and I trust that you can hear the problems and agree that something needs to change. Here is what I suggest. First, create a written policy that states how or why a teacher can be marked ineligible for rehire. This policy needs to be fair to teachers and require the authority of more than a single administrator. Second, review the ineligible for rehire cases from this year to determine if they were truly warranted. And third, create better supports for beginning teachers, especially those who work in the most challenging schools. Remember that our working conditions are students' learning conditions. We can't have great schools without great teachers, and great teachers need time to develop and support to succeed. For the sake of all MNPS students, let's make this investment now. Thank you for listening.
Put on the end of the table here.
And now for something completely different. My name is Theo Wellington. I'm here as president of the Nashville's Bernard Seifert Astronomical Society, a NASA JPL Solar System ambassador, and amateur astronomer to lift up one of the most amazing science opportunities of our lifetime. On August 21st, 2017, Davidson County will experience a total solar eclipse. The Great American Eclipse is a nationwide event, once in a lifetime, that has the promise of inspiring today's students as the moon landing once inspired mine. We do not want schoolchildren locked inside classrooms with the blinds drawn. This time, the goal is to use the eclipse for science education, to have as many students as possible view the event and view it safely. Of course, you should never look directly at the sun. You need safe viewing methods. There are good indirect ways to project an image of the sun during the partial eclipse phase. Many counties across the nation are also ordering solar glasses for their students. These are inexpensive and safe to use to view the sun anytime. When the moon completely covers the sun, you can and should look at the sun. The corona, the sun's outer atmosphere, streams from behind the moon. Bright stars and 3 planets will be visible. I am told this is a sight like none other, that the partial phase gives no clue to how beautiful and awe-inspiring the totally eclipsed sun is. We have not had a total eclipse here in Nashville in our lifetime. Because Nashville begins school in early August, the weeks leading up to the eclipse will allow for many classroom and outdoor activities related to the sun, earth, and moon. The American Astronomical Society, NASA, and the Astronomical Society of the Pacific are just a few organizations that have standards-based lessons and activities. Take advantage of these. Some have suggested that school should be out on that day. I'll leave that up to you, but I would ask for a liberal absence policy as families may wish to observe this together. The teaching done prior to the event will impact families across the county, ensuring that everyone has an amazing but safe eclipse experience. You might also consider partnering to host schools out of the zone of totality. While all of Tennessee sees a good partial eclipse, the experience is so amazing many schools may want to come here. I would ask that teachers be given the training and support to give every student a positive eclipse experience. Austin Peay is partnering with Montgomery County, MTSU with Rutherford. I hope we can find a partner for Davidson County. I am more than happy to work to point to resources, answer questions, or help with training. I personally own just about every possible way you can safely look at the sun, and am happy to demonstrate. I would strongly encourage you to send staff to attend the Astronomical Society of the Pacific meeting in St. Louis in December. This special STEM outreach conference theme is Engage Every Child in the 2017 solar eclipse. This is a huge opportunity for Nashville, the largest city in the path, to connect science to students. Thank you. There we go.
Wow.
How you doing, everyone? Good evening. My name is Joseph Gianni. I went to Metro Public Schools from kindergarten through 12th grade. I now attend a local university here in Nashville. I want to talk about another student, though, and his name was Francisco Rodriguez. Now, something happened to Mr. Rodriguez, and I hope that by informing you about it, we can have an active dialogue on how to positively promote the social and emotional development of students. And I'll start on the night of March 8th of this year. To be more specific, it was a little after 11 of that evening, and Mr. Rodriguez went up to Old Hickory Boulevard and into the Hickory Point apartment complex. This is South Nashville. And then he proceeded to go up to one of the individual rooms of the complex and broke in through its front door. Now, unbeknownst to Mr. Rodriguez, the homeowner was waiting on the other side of the door, and after Mr. Rodriguez refused to listen to the homeowner's command, he, Francisco Rodriguez, was fatally wounded. He was a former MNPS student, again, who I actually knew and was my former PE partner of mine, who is, I'll say it again, not alive. So I began to look more into my former classmate's history, and I looked up in his criminal history, and through the criminal court clerk's office, he has a criminal history of 8 pages. And, you know, he was a year older than me, but he was in the same grade as I was, and he had 8-page long criminal history. And I just wonder, you know, what could MNPS do to look into providing all MNPS students, all of them, with something that will help promote their positive social and emotional development? And I was thinking along the lines of like maybe a mentor, and not one you have to schedule a week ahead of in advance or once a month in the counseling office, but one you could, you know, actually just text and say, you know, hey, I need some advice on something, or just, you know, have lunch with and talk. And then I think, what if we could be revolutionary about this, you know, and be a district that not only keeps an eye out for its current students, but also for recent graduates of MNPS. Because we all know that once you leave school, it can be tough to find your niche, you know, where you belong. So again, for the sake of the now deceased Mr. Rodriguez and all students of MNPS, I ask you to consider my plea to begin discussing what can be done. I'll say it one more time. Promote the positive social and emotional development of all students. Thank you, and have a great rest of your evening.
We'll now move into governance issues. Ms. Shepherd.
I could take a personal point of privilege and let Mr. Gianni know that I still have a copy of the letter that he sent to me a couple months ago, and I take it out and read it about every couple weeks. So thank you for being active and being proactive. I appreciate that. The consent agenda is as follows. 1A, recommended award of contract for architectural services for McMurray Middle School renovations, HMK Architects. B, recommended award of contract for architectural services for East Nashville Magnet High School stadium improvements, EOA Architects. C, awarding of purchases and contracts. 1, California Creative Solutions, Inc. 2, Conexion Americas. 3, Insight Public Sector. 4, Institutional Wholesale Company, Inc. 5, McCartney Produce Company. 6, Purity Dairies, LLC. 7, Vanderbilt University Center for Science Outreach, 3 contracts. And D, legal settlement claim number B-013679. Madam Chair, I recommend that we approve the consent agenda as read.
Is there a second? Second. You've heard the motion, the second. Any questions or discussion about the consent agenda? All in favor of approval as read?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Moving into director's reports, Dr. Joseph.
Well, thank you again, Dr. Gentry. It's an honor to be here, seated with you all tonight, and it's been a whirlwind since I have arrived to Nashville. I've been shaking a lot of hands and taking a lot of selfies with teachers and students and parents. And I want to begin tonight by thanking all 9 of you formally. And thank you for the opportunity to serve the children of Nashville, and thank you for the confidence that you've repeatedly given me to lead this district. As I've said, it's been a whirlwind, including our listen and learn sessions. Now we have completed our 5th listen and learn session, and it's been amazing to hear from our parents, our teachers, our staff, and the community. They've been very frank and honest, and they've talked openly about how they feel about our schools. And so far, just from this 5 sessions, 3 major themes stick out to me, and they're repeated in almost every part of town that I've heard them thus far. First, parents want to know more about how we're meeting the needs of all children, particularly our special education students, our gifted children, and our middle school children. That has come up often. They feel great about the academies of Nashville, and they want to see them protected and expanded. That's been a theme that has come up often. And they also love our diversity. And that part has been really refreshing to hear. Our families see the beauty in the diversity of our schools, and they want their children to be surrounded by kids of all backgrounds. More than anything else, the fact that we have hundreds of people coming out to attend these events, consistent across all schools, says that I came to the right place, and it reaffirms the fact that there's a commitment to education here in Nashville. But the fact is the entire community is watching us, including our 88,000 students, and they're waiting to see what we're going to do to improve schools and give children better opportunities to learn and to be successful. So as a result, you and I have a lot of work to do to meet their expectations. And we've got a great start a few weeks ago at our retreat. And at that retreat, we really came together and we committed to staying united and staying out of the box as we work to get work done for our kids. And now we have to keep that work going. So I'm looking forward to continuing our work together with the Arbinger Institute, and some members of my staff and are going to get trained, and we're going to be speaking with some board members to actually go. So we can, because if we as a senior leadership team and as a board, I think commit to these tenets of, focusing on culture, I think we'll dramatically move the district forward. And as we know, that change is going to start with us. I think it'd be a good idea for all of us to really have the Arbinger style of leadership moving forward as we move through the district. And we also have some follow-up actions from our retreat, and specifically I'm excited to spend more time with you to solidify our communication protocols. And we're going to be looking to figure out how we schedule those meetings to get that work done. And we'll be hearing your ideas about the big rocks as we think about our strategic planning work. So once we finish up with the listen and learns, we'll be moving right into budget season and right into our strategic planning work. So that's exciting work that we have ahead of us. And I will also be thinking about my evaluation and how we'll hold me and the district accountable. And we look forward to those conversations. So we'll find time, I'm sure, to begin that work. And I'm extremely excited as we think about our second retreat coming up in September. So for us to continue doing the good work that we've started. And we'll have the Panasonic Foundation working with us to plan for that. So I'm also excited about the work that they'll provide, because again, their focus is on breaking the links between race, poverty, and educational outcomes. And I know that's something that you are passionate about doing here in the Metro Nashville Public Schools. And I can't imagine a more appropriate time and mission for us to do this work together. So bringing it back to the community, that's what Nashville has told me since I've arrived a few weeks ago. This notion of equity and access for all children is what our community is concerned about, and it's the right thing for us to be focused on as we move towards the future. But we have 16 days, 16 actual school business days, and school will begin. it's pretty
You
scary.
just deflated a whole bunch of. Dang, didn't think about it like that.
So, right.
It's like a month away.
So what we wanted to do today were to give you a brief update on where we are with staffing our schools, and particularly, as I told you earlier, that I spent a year looking at board meetings, and I know one conversation that came up often was where we were with transportation. So I thought it'd be appropriate to just give you an update on where we are with addressing those transportation issues that we have had in the past. And also Dr. Narcisse and Dr. Felder are going to give you an update on, so how are we focusing schools in these next 16 days and moving into this year to make sure that schools are clear about what it is that we need to do. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Chris Henson, and he's going to introduce his staff to talk with you about our staffing plans.
Well, thank you, Dr. Joseph. And as you all know, we have about a 2-month window from when school ends to when school begins again to do a lot of work. And some of the most important work that we have, obviously, is staffing and working hard to be fully staffed so that we can be prepared to serve our students and our families on that first day of school. And so we're going to begin by providing some information as far as a current status report on where we are as it relates to our staffing of teachers. Our goal, obviously, is to be absolutely fully staffed on day number 1. Every classroom having a fully licensed and credentialed teacher in that classroom on the first day. And so I've asked Katie Kaur if she would provide you a status update on where we are as of today, July 12th. And as Dr. Joseph already mentioned, knowing that we just have a very short time before that first day will come about. And so there's a very strong sense of urgency to work with our principals to make sure that each classroom is filled. So I'll turn it over to Katie.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm just going to talk briefly about where we are with our new hires, our new teacher hires, as well as the number of vacancies that we still have in the district, and some thoughts on what we can do to rapidly increase the new hires for the vacancies. On your first slide, and you should have this in front of you, yep. Right now, we have hired roughly 320 new teachers, and TFA is 42 of those teachers. That is the full TFA allotment for the district this year, so it's smaller than we normally receive, so we can talk about why at the end of this. Our average teacher hires in this period of time before a school year starts is 574 over the last 5 years. We probably are not going to get quite close to that. We'll probably be more around 520 is what it looks like in terms of what the vacancies are hitting, but clearly we have a lot of work to do. In terms of the vacancies, we have school-based vacancies, which are all certificated positions. That includes non-teaching roles as well as teaching roles, and so instructional coaches, et cetera. We have 255 of those, 189 teacher vacancies. This is not where we would ideally want to be at this time. We're probably at least a week behind our new hires, and I'll talk about why that is the case in just a second. 74 of our 140 schools are with vacancies right now. As you all know, and as you saw earlier today, the principal hires, it's very exciting. It's some of the most exciting work I've been involved in to help choose these new great principals, but it is the first time in my work in the district and in many of our experiences to have this many vacancies this close to the school year beginning. So 26 total schools, 19% of our total schools will have new principals. We still have 7 without a principal at this point. That delays hiring. We did make other decisions where the executive lead principal was helping hire, but it still really caused a delay, and you can see which schools are lagging in their vacancies. Transfers are always an interesting thing for the board. We are at 427 transfers this year. Compared to last year, that's a couple hundred less. We will likely see another few, probably get above 500, but we won't have as many transfers as last year. New teacher hires, we're at 309 right now. Like I said, I think we'll hit about 200 more teachers. The needs are great around exceptional education. We have seen a national decrease in teachers going into exceptional education with 22 vacancies right now. That's definitely higher than we would like. We're working very closely with the exceptional ed department, with area universities to try to up those numbers. Math teachers have always been a problem in the district, trying to locate as many great math teachers as we can, particularly in the high school areas, and we have some thoughts on that I'll share in a second. EL teachers, we had to hire a significant number of EL teachers this year to better serve our EL students, and then Spanish teachers are always a struggle for us as well. We spent the last year focusing very hard on the quality of the candidates. So of those 309 teachers who have been hired, we feel awesome about. We feel really confident that we have got one of the best pools that we've had in years. However, we need more teachers. So we did a job fair in April. We hired a good number of teachers from that. We're actually going to do another job fair next Friday to try to get the vacancies down, especially in those hard-to-fill areas. We are working with some area institutions on ways that we can get alternatively licensed teachers, people possibly who graduated from math in May or June with a math degree, don't have a job yet. Can we get you in and try teaching as a profession? We're working with some area institutions on that. And then we also are going to be working with the virtual school to, if worst case scenario, we do not have someone in the classroom on day one, we can set up a virtual school environment, place a classroom monitor, an A+ certificated employee or not certificated to monitor the classroom while the students are engaged in a virtual learning experience. So at this time, I'll be happy to take any questions, comments, thoughts before we turn it over to the Transportation Division. Ms. Shepherd?
And I apologize for getting this to you kind of late without in your packet. It was we saw this today, and I just thought, since we're having a meeting and this would be the last opportunity before schools opened, I wanted you to see where we were, and then we'll come back at the end and communicate where we ended up.
So on the principal hires, 19% of the new schools will have new principals. To what do you attribute that?
We had a decent amount of just general retirements and a couple of principals leaving the district. So we also removed a few principals from the position. We did have some transfers of positions. So we moved one principal to an executive lead principal position or another principal position. So that just created another vacancy. I think my colleagues in the academics department could talk more to that, but that is definitely the highest we've ever seen. I don't know if you want to hear from Vanessa.
Anyone else? Ms. Spear?
Yes, thank you, Katie, for this information. So it looks like we need to hire another 200 teachers over the next few weeks.
Yep.
Do you think we'll be successful?
I'm going to work my fanny off to make sure. I mean, our goal is no vacancies on day one. So if we have to use the virtual school model for some of those vacancies, we'll do that. But we're going to, our team is working as hard as they possibly can to get them hired. We're working very closely, too, with Dr. Narcisse and his leadership with the executive lead principals. They're very involved with encouraging their principals to make some hiring decisions, especially in the areas that are not high need.
We're behind the ball, as you said. We're not where we normally are this time of year. And we know that research indicates that the earlier we hire teachers, the better quality teachers we get. So where will we get there? Do we have a pretty good pool of that we're looking at? Is it a matter of not having the pool, or is it a matter of not having had the opportunity to interview folks?
So I think in some cases, we don't have enough people in the pool, and that's math and exceptional ed and those areas that you saw. Those have been very challenging, and we need to work better on that. In other cases, I do think principals need to build a culture where they hire early, and we opened the hiring window so early, and we've moved all of that up thanks to our colleagues in the student assignment division, where budgeting is now happening so much earlier than it used to. Students are being assigned so much earlier, so we know what the vacancies are going to be like at an earlier rate. We do have some principals who are not hiring as quickly as we need to. We also have some principals who have been filled since the last day of school. So working with Dr. Narcisse, we are really hoping to get the people who don't have those high need areas. All of our elementary schools should be fully staffed right now, every one of them. So we do have resignations too. There is a small percentage. I mean, we had probably 10 resignations today. So that is going to be a constant, but there's no reason why elementary schools should not be staffed at this point. So
thank you for your work.
Dr. Brennan?
Yes, I just wanted to know how you plan to advertise the alternative licensing options.
Well, right now we're working just directly with the institution, so we're not advertising it yet. We're just talking to them about whether or not they would be willing. They have to sign on to say, we will grant the alternative license for candidates. And so we're doing it more on a one-off basis, like talking to the institutions. Who do you have that would be a good candidate for this? Somebody who maybe thought about teaching but didn't get an education degree. And so we're not advertising it highly at this point because they have to be the one who signs off.
Ms. Shepherd?
Okay, so this might be a difficult question to answer. So during public participation, we heard from at least 2 people who were talking about the non-renewals of teachers. So is that not a possible pool for us? I mean, if we have teachers who clearly we heard that they should probably not have been non-renewed or fired, as one young lady said. I mean, to me, that's a pool for us right there.
So to speak to the public participants, our policy has not changed, so we've always had the same policy where a teacher can be non-renewed, eligible for rehire in the district or not eligible for rehire in the district. The parameters of that policy is outlined in our Human Capital Guide for Principals. It's not a board policy or anything like that, so we can definitely work to communicate that better. We do have principals make those decisions. We are not involved in those decisions. It's a principal call on whether or not a teacher should be ineligible for rehire. We do review them on a case-by-case basis if the teacher comes to us, and I have personally overturned several of the non-renewals ineligible for rehires this year. So, I think it's on us to be better communicants to the principals about really why you should make somebody ineligible versus eligible. Our numbers are about the same as they've always been, where we have roughly 120 or so, I don't know the exact numbers, roughly 120 or so ineligible for rehire and 140 or so eligible for rehire. That's very consistent with years past. So I do recognize that there has been more talk about it this year, but the policy and the numbers have not changed. So obviously we need to do better about communicating it with the principals, what the goal is for that.
Right. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, next topic.
One of the areas that we spent a lot of time discussing this past year was our school bus drivers. And I've asked Taffy Marsh to put together some information that reviewed the past year on where we have been, but also talked about what we've been doing to make improvements in that area and where we're going to be on the first day of school. And we realize how important bus drivers are to our school system. As you've often heard, they're the first one to see our children in the morning and the last one to see our children in the afternoon. And so we realize how important it is to have bus drivers on every route and to have good bus drivers. And so we're going to share this information with you. It's more of an update from what we've been sharing with you all of last year, but we're also sharing where we're going to be on day one. So I'll turn it over to Taffy.
Hello, Dr. Joseph. Welcome to Nashville. We're glad you're here. Board members, thank you for your time. If you'll look at the chart there, and all of you should have a copy in front of you, if you look at the 2015-16 data versus this year's data, in August of last year, we had 55 open routes. By October, we were up to 140 open routes. That's a route with no driver. And then it did drop a little bit to 110 down to 99 in January. We are thrilled to announce that as of today, we have no open routes. We have a driver for every route, and we have sub-drivers waiting in the wings. So we want to share a little bit about that with you. You approved some strategies last year, and I just want you to see the results that that's created. You approved an 8-hour workday for our bus drivers. You also approved a driver pay raise. Something that we're doing internally to our department is that we're also offering a Driver of the Month and a Monitor of the Month award, and that will be something that we've got a plaque, and we're going to put that up in the department. And we also have some vendors that are willing to donate small gift cards as a reward for these drivers. And you also approved last year a perfect attendance bonus. That has been tremendous in getting drivers to work every day. So you also approved additional driver and monitor FTEs in our budget, and we thank you very much for all of the things that you approved last year. The results from that are we have an increased morale in the department. Every day that gets better. We have improved attendance. We have decreased attrition rates. We have increased recruitment power, and we have an amazingly increased job interest. Our applicants, every week when we go out and look at our website and where the applicants are applying, it's amazing to see how many people want to come back to work to Nashville. So we're very thrilled with that.
And I'm certified to teach math or Spanish.
Well, it's funny you bring that up because we are trying to recruit some bilingual bus drivers, but I don't know that any of them are certificated. Okay, some of the work that we need to continue going forward, we are collaborating with school administrators on two things particularly. We're proactively managing adverse and/or safe student behavior on buses. That is a one-to-one relationship between our drivers and our school administrators. So we are in the middle of our bus driver in-service this week, and we have some principals coming to speak to our drivers on Thursday about that whole impact. So we're very excited about that, and we're introducing them to some new techniques. It's also going to help us focus on building those school-based relationships. Some of our drivers have an exceptional skill and rapport with our schools, and then some of our others are still learning how to do that. So we're giving them the tools to help do that. One of the things that we've spent a lot of time on this past year that we will be implementing this school year is professional development for our drivers and monitors. Again, during our in-service this week, we are focusing on customer service excellence. We've had quite a few breakout sessions on that. All of our drivers in our entire department, as a matter of fact, went through the SEL learning session about a month ago, and all of our drivers are going through that. Drivers and monitors are going through that during in-service. It's slightly condensed, but I've had amazing feedback, and everyone is very excited about what they've learned in the SEL learning sessions. And then we're also giving them, it's an alternative to managing student aggression, and it's the SAMA model. So we're very excited about the training and skills that the bus drivers and monitors are receiving. We have a start of school transportation plan, and we have a backup plan. So Plan A is we've added time built into all of our route structures for those heavy traffic patterns, just for any of those unforeseen situations that come up. Over the past year, we've studied the traffic patterns around Nashville, and we've looked at those routes that were historically late. Our new software has given us a lot of data on buses and routes, so we're really excited that we are able to do that. We will have our sub-drivers on standby at our high schools for localized support. So instead of having all of our drivers at the Hill, over at Woody Crest, where the transportation facilities are, they will be staged at our high schools around the county, so that if we have breakdowns, call-outs, whatever, they're already centrally located. They will be in their buses. What we're going to do is if we have any drivers that we don't need to utilize at that moment, we will put them on a bus as a monitor. We've already identified the routes in each cluster that present some challenges when it comes to student behavior and student management on our buses. And so if those drivers are not needed to drive that day, we'll have an extra adult on those routes. Our service trucks will also be stationed around the county, and we've been doing this for a couple of years, but we've redefined it just a little bit for this school year. So they will be stationed out and about for localized service. So if we have a breakdown, they can get to the bus much faster. We also, for those of you that may or may not know Scrum from my project management days back a long time ago, we're going to have daily issue resolution meetings. And basically the team will get together for a very short meeting, and they will tell us what their problem is and what they need to solve it. And we will solve we may not solve all of the problems, because some problems can't be solved immediately, but everything that we can solve on a daily basis we will address. So we're very excited about that. We got a good plan in place for that. Plan B. We are providing sub-drivers with emergency route coverage package. So through our contract for sub-drivers, each of their drivers will have a notebook of every route in the area, in the city. They're going to have a notebook by cluster. So they're going to be assigned to one cluster, but if we need to move them over to another cluster, all they have to do is grab their little handy-dandy notebook, go to the tab, go to the route, and they'll be able to run that route without too much difficulty. The transportation support team, which includes anyone that is not a bus driver or a monitor, will be any of those folks that still have a CDL. They will be assigned a bus, and they will be assigned a location in the area, in the county. And depending on what may happen, our backup plan to our backup plan, they will be in a bus running routes, and they'll have that same notebook. All of our non-CDL drivers in the department will be going out to our schools and working with parents and teachers and administrators, making sure, especially in the afternoons, because that's especially in the first few weeks of school is when we have the most difficulty, kids getting on the wrong bus, not getting home. So we have a good plan for all that. I would like to personally thank you for recognizing the value of our bus drivers and monitors. They are amazing people, and they really do a great work. So thank you. I have two people here that are going to speak for about a minute and a half, and just talk to you from their heart and tell you about some of the changes and how grateful they are for everything that you've done. Let's see, I just touched something, but they don't need that. Ron Franklin?
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name's Ron Franklin. I've been with transportation for 18 years now. I started off as a bus driver for 10, going on 11 years. I moved into a field supervisor position, and now I'm a supervisor in our safety and training and recruiting. And I wanted to say thank you to every single one of you, and look you in the eyes when I say this. You have helped us immensely in our recruiting of bus drivers. The one thing we were losing, and the reason we got so low in our numbers, is we were losing the recruitment from our own bus drivers. They, were disgruntled, and rightfully so, because they were struggling to make a living. And y'all took that into account, and you made them 40 hours a week, 8 hours a day. And now some of our best recruiters are our bus drivers. And I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. You helped the transportation department immensely. And Dr. Joseph, welcome.
Thank you.
And I will tell you, I've been to 2 of your listen and learn sessions, and I got chill bumps. You are bringing the parents of this district back together. You are packing the house, and you are a rock star. You are a rock star.
Got a video to prove it.
There are people lining up after he speaks wanting selfies, and I was one of them. I was. So thank you so much for what you're doing.
Thank you.
And as a board, thank you. Thank you for what you're doing for all of us. And we're going to continue to grow. You said you want our district to be the best. We want transportation to be a part of that with everything we got. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Pam Battle. I'm a bus driver, and I'm also a little nervous because I've never stood before the board. Okay. I started in 1987 as a sub-driver. I went regular in 1990. I'm also a spokesperson for the bus drivers. I'm the president of our union. Okay, and I just want to go back just a little bit. Approximately maybe 5 years ago when we lost our hours, it really tremendously impacted the drivers and their livelihood. I mean, we had drivers that lost their homes, lost their car, couldn't pay their light bills. We even had drivers that were homeless. So I'm here to tell you, I want to thank you right now, in case I don't have enough time, for giving that hour back to the drivers. They are greatly appreciated, what you've done for them, because I mean, we were hurting so bad for drivers. We were literally going out, running our routes, dropping those students off at the high school, leaving them unattended, unsupervised, go and pick up another route and bring those students in. So now that we have drivers, I am so thankful that those students will not be standing outside that school by themselves. Now, the drivers' morale was down, but I'm here to tell you, it has built up. Thank you. The incentive program, thank you for that. It's working. I'm also having monthly meetings with the director, Taffy Marsh, once a month, and you guys are welcome to come. Taffy, if that's okay with you. Okay. I feel like that we're moving in a very positive and productive way. So I would like to keep the communication going. That's very important to us, to the board and to our director, if we can talk among us, if we're having any issues, so I can be able to bring them to you. Now, Dr. Joseph, I'm going to steal your title a little bit. It says listen and learn. Please don't only hear us, listen to us, and let's learn together, and let's communicate together. Okay, these are our children. I thank you.
Thank you.
For somebody that's never been up here, she did a pretty good job, didn't she? Do any of you have questions for us?
Taffy, I want to thank you, first of all, for the great job that you've done since you've been here. You've really helped turn around this program, and we really do thank you for everything.
Thank you.
My only recommendation would be that when you have your bus driver and monitor of the month, that you talk with Ms. Bobo and then put them in the awards recognition portion of the program for us.
Absolutely. Good idea. I will take care of that tomorrow. Anything else?
I just want to say that thank you for this presentation and thank you for the support that you have helped us be able to follow your lead and what the bus drivers needed. And we are glad to be able to support the bus drivers because it takes a community. If we can't get the kids to school, we can't teach them. And we've got to get them to school safely and home safely. And I know that the bus drivers do more than just drive the bus. They care for the kids.
Yes, ma'am.
If it's raining, they go the extra mile to help the kids be safe and warm and provide the things that a nurturing environment provides. So thank you so much.
You're welcome, and thank you all. We genuinely appreciate everything you've done. Have a good night.
No,
I'm sorry.
During the listen and learn sessions, we had questions regarding, or comments regarding monitors. So I'm curious as to whether or not we feel that we have adequate numbers of monitors on the buses, or if we've staffed sufficiently. And also, this may be a crazy question, but I'm just wondering how many bus drivers do we actually have, and what was that growth from?
Okay, we also handed a sheet out with your PowerPoint presentation. So as of July 7th, we have 484 MNPS drivers. Those are MNPS employees. We have 496 routes as of today, or as of the 7th. And we have 49 sub-drivers. So there's 484 MNPS. The number of MNPS drivers does not include anyone that is out on IOD or FMLA. So the 484 drivers are those, if we were starting school tomorrow morning, they would be in the seat ready to go. And we also have 17 drivers in training that will be ready to go by start of school. They are testing out next week, I believe. Some this week and most of them next week. So we will add 17 to that 484 number.
Okay. And then what about the monitors?
We have plenty of monitors. Well, okay, let me back up. We have plenty of applicants, and we have plenty of qualified applicants. We do have some openings, and we're in the process of interviewing them now, and they will be trained and ready to go by start of school.
So
We'll follow up with a specific number to you.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't have the exact number. I'm sorry, but I can get that to you in the morning.
Anyone else? So I do have a question.
Sure.
What's in the notebooks? When you say the routes are in the notebooks.
The routes are all of the stops. So if I'm a bus driver and I have Route 304, it starts at one point, and then it goes to a stop, and then a stop, and then a stop. So we have 3 runs per route. So there's a high school run. It's based on the tiers. So the route consists of the high school run, then the elementary run, and then the middle school run. So if we have a driver that is not used to driving that route, the route sheet will tell you basically where to start and where to turn left, where to turn right, where to stop.
I guessed that much. Yeah, so that was what I was thinking. So would it be possible to put a Garmin in a bus and pre-program the routes in there so that when I get in the bus, is that possible?
It is possible. There is a significant cost to that, and there's no way to push that data out to the Garmin. So when we make a change to a route, and we have a lot of changes the first 6 weeks. I can go into that later if you want that information, but there's a lot of changes. So we would have to bring the bus into the facility every day and manually program that. There's no way. We don't have the technology today to push all of that out. Now with our Tyler technology, that's coming. There is a significant cost of that, and we hope to have that in 2 years. If we'll get all that cost to you, but that is something that's down the road, ways that we can push that out. Data shows that in the Tennessee Highway Patrol recommends having route sheets versus a Garmin that's talking to you because of all of the other distractions on a bus, and we'd have to.
So they would rather me read a sheet that tells me turn by turn than to...
Well, what they do is when they're at the stop loading the bus, they look at it while they're at the stop, and then they know, okay, I go to the next block and turn left, and then there's my stop. So it's not like they're driving and reading it. So
I was just curious.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right.
Every bus does have a GPS on it, and it's equipped with, it'll be ready when we get to that point.
All right, thanks.
Anything else?
Nope, we're good.
Thank you all. We appreciate
All right,
it.
thank you all. Thank you.
And now we'll have Dr. Narcisse and Dr. Felder come up to talk about our school monitoring calendars.
So we're just going to get the PowerPoint set up. All right. Well, good evening, Board Chair Dr. Gentry and board members. We're actually excited to be presenting to you for the first time a new tool. I'm sure this will be many of presentations from myself and Dr. Felder. There we go. Yeah, there we go. So when we came to the district with Dr. Joseph charged us to begin to help to think about the work around supporting the work that's happening in schools, from accountability to support and collaborating, doing intentional collaboration with principals around building capacity throughout their schools. And a lot of that work coincide between the work with executive officers, ELP, as well as the Curriculum and Instruction House. So today what we're going to do is present to you an exciting tool that we're going to be working with our leaders around, and we're going to make our presentation very simplistic. It will be in four ways: the what, who, why, and how. And then hopefully you can ask us some questions around the work that we're going to share with you. So what we're going to, the what that we're going to share with you is called a monthly monitoring calendar. And a monthly monitoring calendar, Joe, do I click from here? Okay, we'll go to the next slide. Sorry about that. Okay, I got it there. And what it is, a monthly monitoring calendar, I won't read from all the slides, but it's something that's going to help principals to kind of focus but not limit them around what central office will look at around building capacity and supporting their work. And a lot of those pieces on the calendar that you should have a copy of will deal around questions as well as certain specific components to look at every single month. And those things will come out every 2 months. That will come from central office. So as executive lead principals and executive officers go out to schools, you don't have it. Okay. Okay, well, let me show you this. I know it's here. There we go. Let us get a copy for you. We apologize for that.
Is it in the packet?
All right, we will get you a copy.
We'll get you a copy.
We'll get you a copy.
You can email them later. It's fine.
Okay. So what the tool is that you'll see, which I'm going to let Dr. Felder talk about, is something that's going to help principals to kind of focus their work and kind of think of ways that as they're building the capacity around supporting each of the levels of their work, it will give them a context around what central office will do when they come out to have coaching conversations with them.
Right. So good evening. And so this tool, is important to note that this tool was not created in a vacuum. This tool was created in collaboration across all departments. And so the Department of Operations gave input into the tool, the Department of Schools, as well as the Department of Academics. Additionally, we even had some feedback from a few principals. And so it was important that we had collaboration in developing this tool, because this tool will roll out tomorrow. And again, we will ensure that you receive a copy of it. But it will roll out tomorrow to not only the district's school leaders, but also to all central office departments. And so why? Why are we rolling it out to everyone, not just school leaders? Because it's very important that we be aligned. It's important that we be very intentional in our focus, that we ensure that there's no ambiguity, no areas of confusion with regards to expectations and the work that we will do this year. And so, and in supporting student achievement. And so, wanted to ensure that you were aware of not only what the tool is, but how the tool was developed and how the tool will be used to support student achievement.
One of the things that we want to really be mindful about is how do we think about helping leaders to kind of support and think about the work, and how we bring a value-added approach to their strategy around the work and not a limitation to that. As you can imagine in schools, a lot of different leaders are doing some innovative things, and so what we want to do is just to help them focus a little bit about what are some of the high levers that central office will look at to help support them through their process. One of the components that we plan to do with using this particular tool is kind of our structures. Presently, we've redesigned to have 3 major structures in our work on how we're going to begin to engage principals in the work. One is called an ELP team meeting, and ELP stands for Executive Lead Principals, and Executive Lead Principals will have an opportunity to meet with principals that are within their responsibility, which our average is about 1 ELP to every 11 schools, and that vehicle will be where we will do things such as have conversations about what their particular issues are, talk about professional learning community, things that they'll focus as a team, and also some pieces that they want to build capacity on strategies of things on how to raise their higher achievement. We'll also use that particular space for them to talk about operational issues, if those are some of the pieces that they will do. And they will collaborate with the executive lead principals as well as executive officers for those particular meetings. Another avenue that we're going to also use what we call our administrative and supervisory meetings, which are systemic principal meetings, which we will do every other month. So 1 month will be a administrative and supervisory meeting. The other month will be for the ELP team meetings, where principals will have an opportunity to have discussions amongst themselves with their ELPs around strategies on how to develop capacity within their schools.
And the third opportunity for collaboration will be through the curriculum update meetings. And these will be opportunities on a monthly basis for principals and a small team from their schools to gather together to hear updates and delve deeply or deeper into those things that impact academics. And so that will be another vehicle that will be used this year.
So as we stated before, our main goal has been to try to think about what are some ways that we can create space for leaders and teachers to kind of cross-collaborate around their work and have some intentional focus as we're trying to build off a lot of our big areas, whether it's professional development around literacy, or whether it's professional development around building capacity in their leadership processes, whether it's providing teachers with opportunities to cross-collaborate around the work. Okay. So with that being said, do you have any questions?
What are some of the things that are on the tool? Can you just go over that since we didn't see it?
So we can speak to that. And so there are several areas on this tool. And one would be performance results and data points. And so here, schools are advised to analyze for all subgroups. And an example would be text level assessments. And so it asks schools to focus on the number and percent of students scoring at benchmark, above benchmark, on benchmark, and below benchmark at the end of the year. So that would be something in July that we would expect schools to be focused on and analyze data around. Another area would be around rigorous instruction. So a question that we are asking schools to focus on would be the number of students above, below, and within grade level expectations in each kindergarten classroom for students who attended a Metro Nashville public school pre-K based on the GOLD individual child report analyzed for pre-K through the cumulative files, if applicable. Another example under rigorous instruction would be for schools to look at the number and percent, identify the number and percent of students identified in each grade level who will benefit from advanced instruction based on current data. So,
So let me give you just a little bit of context around, a little bit more context. On the actual tool are a set of questions. And these are questions that the executive lead principals and executive officers would have a conversation and engage with principals around whatever their present structure is. So this has not only, the conversation is not only around quantitative data, but also qualitative pieces. And that would be how we would begin to approach to begin to build some capacity with leaders. So in these conversations, we can help them think through what their strategies are. As you can imagine, leaders have strategies, whether it's around human capital, whether it's around specific instructional strategies. And so this would help them kind of think through and have these focus components. And in these things is how we would begin having these type of conversations so we can be able to help them follow through on components that help them build whatever strategy that they're trying to accomplish to raise student achievement in their school. As you can always imagine, every school has their own context. And so therefore, we wanted to make sure we were able to keep the tool in such a way that they can be able to have an opportunity so we can differentiate the type of supports that we provide to them as we're building their capacity for their staff.
So I think it's also important to note that not only will the ELPs use this tool, but also central office staff who are supporting schools, they too can use this tool in terms of, again, thinking about the questions. What structure is in place to ensure stakeholder involvement in compiling, analyzing, and sharing key data points? What behavioral intervention program, support, staff development is in place to reduce suspensions? And so, again, it allows all of us to calibrate, to have a common language, common touch points in our support to schools. And I also think it's important to inform you that the tool is differentiated. It's differentiated by level. So there's a tool at the elementary level. There's a tool at the middle school level. There's a tool at the high school level. And there's also a tool that was developed for our priority schools. So in an effort to differentiate the support and to calibrate our support and to be very intentional in our work, we thought it important not to have a one-size-fit-all monitoring tool, but to have one that is designed for each level.
And one last thing is also our goal in central office is not to confuse schools. And so what's really important for us is, regardless of what department you're coming from, whoever's having a conversation with the school, we can begin to calibrate ourselves and being able to have more meaningful conversations at our level around how we're going to support schools so we can have a common conversation so we can help accelerate principals and their teams as well as teachers' context around whatever that school's specific focus is.
Any questions?
Ms. Frobe?
So this all sounds wonderful, and I love the collaborative conversations that are going on. I'm wondering how this might change the current role of the lead principals, and I am asking because I will just share that some of our executive principals have felt a little overwhelmed because they're trying to run their own schools, and they're also trying to help, supervise a number of other schools. And I just want to make sure that they feel, if we're adding extra duties, that they're able to effectively supervise their own schools while they're doing this work.
So presently in the system, we no longer have lead principals.
Okay.
So lead principals, for context, were folks who were present principals in the school system and also supervise principals. And so we've felt that based on a lot of research that we've done throughout the country, we can share a lot of that work with you and experiences.
As well as feedback from the
and as well as and also feedback that we've gotten not only from schools and also some anecdotal feedback from leaders. We didn't think it would be the most effective model to help support. So what we have done is we've added on executive lead principles to decrease what we call a span of control, which means how many ELPs would support the specific schools. So executive lead principals and executive officers can be in schools more to have more discussions around the different type of supports that would happen. And so that is the new structure presently in place as we move forward. And we will be rolling out the new organizational chart with the ELPs also tomorrow mornings.
Okay, great.
Thank you so much for this. I can't believe y'all have only been here 6 days. And one question, I think I saw it on the slide, but did it show that at times it wouldn't be just the principal, but it might also be, 2 or 3 members from staff? Okay, I just wanted, it sounds like there will be teachers involved in giving the feedback with you guys.
Yes, what we're presently trying to do is, our goal is to make sure that we can create different sets of pipelines so we can get feedback from different levels. So an example would be one of the work that we're doing now is we're going to have our systemic principal meeting that's coming up, but one of the things is to begin to create a principal advisory that can also come aboard as we're creating our our administrative supervisory, that's our new term for systemic principal meetings, to help give us feedback on what are the type of needs that the schools would need and what would be much more appropriate as we're engaging in creating things for principal meetings.
And that same principal advisory will be utilized to help design the curriculum update meetings, because we want principals and their teams to own these meetings. They are designed for them to help build their capacity as instructional leaders. And so that particular advisory group will be utilized in that way as well.
And our goal will also be to figure out in other spaces how we include some teachers to be a part of that process. And so we're having some conversations a little bit about what are some spaces we can create teacher advisory groups to help us so we can begin to build kind of our teacher leader pipeline as well.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Just a quick question. So it sounds like not only is this a collaborative experience, but it's also a monitoring tool.
Yes, it is.
And it's based in such a way that it's constantly updating and giving feedback and then determining interventions that are necessary. Am I understanding this correctly?
So we would probably debate that, or we'd push a little bit and say that it's not only a monitoring, but it's a more specific and intentional way to provide support. We believe that monitoring and support goes hand in hand, and we always say what gets monitored and supported gets done well, so people are not functioning from a compliance mode. As Dr. Joseph charges, we are trying to see how we develop a learning organization, and so if we are able to do this well, we'll have pipelines of people to think through whatever their challenges are within their specific schools. As you can imagine, all of our schools have different set of needs.
Great, thank you.
So I'm just wondering, typically, how many times per month will you be meeting with principals?
So if we have it our way, executive lead principals and executive officers will see, because they have a smaller span of control schools, will see principals a whole lot, hopefully almost once a week in schools. And then we will have other pathways on where we can kind of build professional development and feedback within these other structures.
So the curriculum update meetings are scheduled to begin in October and will run through May. So they will be monthly meetings, again, level-alike meetings. So there will be meetings just for elementary teams, for middle school teams, and high school teams.
Okay.
Anything else? All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And we do not have a committee report because we moved that committee meeting to after the board meeting. Sorry, you do not get to go home. And so we'll go into announcements, and we'll start with Ms. Hunter.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, there will be a back-to-school community day in the Antioch area on July 17th. And in addition, I've received an email from Council Lady Tanika Barcher discussing some road work that will occur on Beaufield Drive, Beaufield Court, Deborah Drive, Reeves Road, and Una Antioch Pike that may not be complete by the beginning of school. And that is all. Thank you.
Yes, I'd just like to announce the Listen and Learn that will occur for the Overton cluster on August 1st at Oliver Middle at 6 o'clock.
I want to recognize my fellow board member, Thais Hunter. She has attended all of the Listen and Learn sessions, and I think she needs to be commended.
Informative, thank you.
I've been able to attend 3, and they have been so helpful, Dr. Register, Dr. Joseph. It's going to be a hard habit to break.
You want to start off?
And I have loved the opportunity to hear all of the various viewpoints that people have been willing to come to the microphone and present. So I think that's been very helpful. Our attendance has been phenomenal, and it brings the parents together in a way that gives them buy-in to our school district. And I'm really looking forward to the work ahead. Thank you.
I do have several. I want to say, first of all, good luck to my colleague Elisa as she pursues her next adventures. It's been a pleasure working with you. I want to say good luck to my colleagues running re-election campaigns. I hope that you persevere and that you are with us after the August 4th election. And speaking of August 4th is Election Day, so please exercise your responsibility and vote in this election. Early voting starts Friday, July 15th, and extends through Saturday, July 30th, so please make your voices heard. The Listen and Learn from the McGavock Cluster will be Thursday, July the 28th at 6 o'clock at McGavock High School. The popsicle truck will be out in front of the building, and then we'll proceed through the building. First day of school is Wednesday, August the 3rd. On that day will be a happy day. The 4th is Election Day. The 5th is the first full day of school, and that's the day that the McGavock Cluster Coalition will be welcoming the students to McGavock High School at dark 100 hours that morning. And last but not least, a welcome to Dr. Joseph to your first Board of Education meeting. I look forward to working with you and your team, and thank you very much for meeting with the members of the McGavock Cluster Coalition in June before you officially came on the job. We really do appreciate that. So thank you. I'm done.
Yeah, it's great to see you over there. So this is a fun night. I have a couple things for next Monday, July 18th, from 11 to 12:30 at the Hillsborough High School gym. They're having professional beach volleyball player Brooke Sweat come do a workshop session, and so it's for the whole community. So any young volleyball players you know, please encourage them to attend. Later that afternoon, we will welcome Principal Jenna Collins over at Glendale, and so the faculty and staff will come at 4:30, and the rest of the community is invited to come at 5:30, so we're excited about that. And then Amy and I will be at Hillsborough High School on Tuesday, July 19th, a week from today, from 6 to 8 for our Listen and Learn.
Just want to reiterate a few important meetings coming up in my cluster. This Thursday, the 14th, I will be co-hosting the Listen and Learn for the Hillwood cluster with Dr. Joseph, and that will be held at 6 p.m. at Bellevue Middle Prep. As Mary mentioned, I will be co-hosting with her on next Tuesday, the 19th, 6 p.m. at Hillsborough. And then on the July 21st, next Thursday, I'll be hosting a community meeting about a new high school for the Hillwood cluster, and that will take place at Hope Park Church at 6 p.m. So I hope everyone will come out. Thank you.
And if I'm not mistaken, we do have another Listen and Learn for Pearl-Con Cluster on July 18th. And you what?
July 20th for Antioch.
And in July, yeah. So 2 more, 18th and the 20th.
And another one tomorrow night.
Oh, several more. And Stratford is tomorrow. So there's a bunch more to go. Tomorrow, Martha O'Brien, 6 o'clock. Gotcha. Listen and learn. All right. I'm going to relieve you of your duties. Okay. Just for a second. We're done. And now, I want y'all to know something. If it wasn't for him, we've been out of here 42 minutes ago. Cut you some slack this time. I've already told Cameo and Bridget. I sent them a text. Y'all didn't talk to him? All right. Good night, y'all. Wait, I got a song, though. Good night.
To rejoice, you see.